As I said, you may Diamond K in here, Radio on Fire, Diamond K Show. And there's a lot of things on the docket for people that live in Baltimore. It appears that this, we're going to call it an election. This ongoing counting of the ballots 1 week after what has been a disastrous turn of events as far as the competence of the Baltimore election committee, the crew, you know what I mean? The way that this whole thing has been handled is not good. This is not the first time that a Baltimore mayoral race has been thrown into question. And more than likely, this is not going to be the last time. But it appears that the city council president, Brandon Scott, has won Baltimore's Democratic mayoral primary. What does that mean exactly? I'll tell you what it means. It means that 37-year-old Brandon Scott has defeated former Baltimore mayor, Sheila Dixon, in a very close race. Scott had 29.4% of the votes as of today, and Dixon has 27.7%. About 2,300 votes separate the two frontrunners, and there are less than 2,000 ballots that have not been counted yet. What does that mean? Why are they declaring him the victor? Because based on the math, he's won. And I'm sure that cannot set well with Sheila Dixon. I'm sure that upsets her. I'm sure that it does. And the reason why I say that is because let's look at this, right? The last time we saw Sheila Dixon, the last time she ran for public office, she ran for her old job, which is to be mayor. She did that in 2016. In what? In another close race. Another close race. And during the recount and all of that, it came out that she still was on the losing end. Now, of course, what we know now is that Catherine Pugh did some funny business. Some stuff wasn't exactly on the up and up. But regardless of all that, she ended up coming out with the victory. Sheila Dixon came up short in 2016. And it appears that she has come up short again. So that's why I said it can't feel good right now. Now she gave it the try. She gave 100%. Of course, this election plagued in the final stretch by a once-in-a-generation pandemic that prevented people from campaigning in a traditional fashion. But she can't blame that. I guess it just was not meant to be. I guess it was just not meant to be. Now, while Sheila Dixon is very popular, there were some people who did not want to see her in City Hall again. And those people have spoken. It appears, as I said, Brandon Scott, the new mayor. I was going to say he's the new mayor because at this point, it's just going to be a formality. Whoever wins the Democratic primary, it's just a formality. The Republican candidate is not going to be able to overcome the 10-to-1 ratio of registered Democrats versus registered Republicans. So Brandon Scott, as I said, by all accounts, is going to be the next mayor of Baltimore. Very, very surprising. Very surprising to me. Very surprising to many people. So I have been critical of Brandon Scott. But as I said on the show earlier, I did have a conversation with him, and I look to have him on the show at a later date. But I had a conversation with him, and we had some real talk. And if Brandon Scott is the next mayor, I will support him. I will, I want Baltimore to be better. And if new leadership is what is required to make that happen, then so be it. If the people of Baltimore have spoken, then they have spoken. So that's what it is. I don't know whether or not Sheila Dixon is going to request a recount. That is obviously something that is possible. It's obviously something that could happen. It's kind of tricky because the Baltimore election officials neared the end of this long drawn out ballot counting process today. 1 week after the election was over, the election staff members had to manually copy the ballots and correct an error that prevented them from being scanned. So of course you could say, wait, they manually copied, which means that they wrote the ballots over, right? Like they filled them in again. Some people may say, hey, what do you mean? That's kind of not the way the process is supposed to work, which is true. It's not supposed to be that people are going back and filling out the ballots again, but that is what happened. They said this is due to what they called a scanning error. So, candidates can say this smells kind of funky, and it does. Crews started out today with 2,000 to 3,000 ballots that they had left to count. And by 6 p.m., they had finished counting 2,589. On previous days, up to 2,500 ballots were scanned per hour. So today was a slow day. They moved really slow today. The job that has been done is not something that we can be proud of. Just like the condition of Baltimore City schools, nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of. The duplication of the ballots can take about 2 minutes each. The board is going to reconvene tomorrow to count about 1,000 provisional ballots that were cast on election day at the in-person polling centers. The overseas ballots, those are going to be counted on Friday. And the whole counting of this process, that's not the end. You still have to get the results certified, as well as audit findings, and then they have to present all of that information to the state. So this is not quite done yet, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this. Is Sheila Dixon going to take this laying down? She has been quoted as saying that, "I think anyone would want this to come to an end," talking about this week long of counting of ballots, which is so strange. They're scanning ballots, yet it takes them a week to count it. Smells fishy, right? Sheila Dixon also said that there are some questions and concerns that I have. So, of course, the question is she going to ask for a recount? This is a thin margin. She said that she is keeping all options open. Very similar to what she said in 2016. She said that she spoke with her lawyer earlier this week about a number of things. She did not get into what that exactly was. Brandon Scott said his legal team is ready. So I'm predicting that this is not quite over with, even though it's over, but it ain't really over. If you're wondering, a candidate in Maryland, okay, all states are not like this, but in Maryland, candidate must pay for a recount. There are some exceptions. They don't have to pay if the race is very close, a difference of 0.1% or less. Then, in that instance, they would have to pay for that. But in this instance, recount, she would have to pay for that. So do you think that she should request a recount, or should she accept what has been announced, and that is Brandon Scott is the winner of the Baltimore mayoral primary and presumably the next mayor of this city? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Can Brandon Scott take Baltimore to the next level? The next mayor is going to be tasked with that. And it appears that 37-year-old Brandon Scott is going to be the next mayor. He has won the Democratic primary. Eclipse Tinting Service, whether it's auto, residential, or commercial, Eclipse Tinting has you covered. Conveniently located in West Baltimore, 4018 Reisterstown Road. For more information, contact 410-466-1003. It is Eclipse Tinting Service. Eclipse Tinting Service. Now, I will be back tomorrow with more of the show. As I said, radioonfire.com is where you go if you miss any episodes of the program. radioonfire.com, or however you're listening, search The Diamond K Show, hit subscribe, go to youtube.com/DJ Diamond K. It is always fun to come through and chop it up. We'll be back tomorrow.